What's up, good people? It's the Ancestry Chronicle here, Sean J. Gandy, and we're at Olaide's Kitchen here in Harlem, New Jersey. I'm chilling with my boys. Y'all know Jonathan Travis, Jay Trav, and I also got my man here, Michael Maurice, also AKA Noble. And we're just gonna sit here. We're gonna be talking about, as African American men, we're gonna be talking about the African boy.
Black.
Black men here in America. And what's interesting is that we're at a Nigerian restaurant. So I think it's befitting to be able to be at a place where we could, it comes from our motherland, our homeland, Africa, the continent of Africa. In particular, here they sell Nigerian food and Ghanaian food. And so, so stay tuned, because we're gonna get some really good stuff. So what I want you to do is, right off the back, you can just pause for me, go ahead and subscribe. Also, give me the thumbs up if you like the content, and also share it. Hit that copy button, get that link, and share it with somebody, some of your friends, your family, other people. And I appreciate it every single time. I do enjoy the comments. I do enjoy chopping it up with everybody in the comments. So keep the comments coming, keep the comments flowing. Alrighty. So what I want to talk about today, fellas, is I want to talk about the Africa void. The Africa void. It's something that I work for African Ancestry. It's something that we talk about a lot there at African Ancestry. Is the Africa void, and there's various ways to describe it. But I think I'm going to give. I'm going to have my boy Noble give an anecdote or something that happened to him, which I think kind of really encapsulate what the African void is. So, Noble, if you could just share with us your story, man.
All right, so I was in, I believe it was an acting class. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was in an acting class where you have people from all different walks of life. And somehow, some way, the question came up to one of the students. They were like, "Where are you from?" And the student began to say, "Oh, I live such and such, but my parents are here, and my father was this, and then their grandfather," and then they just began to go through their whole line of their roots and their ancestry. And I'm like, okay, wow. And then I started thinking to myself, if they ask me where am I from, what am I going to say? I'm like, I'm African American. Like, I'm from New Jersey. Like, where am I from? And it hit me in a way, like I said, like, I've always known it. It's not like something we haven't known as African American. And we know that we can only trace, by ourselves, we probably can only trace our heritage and our roots, but so far, unless we get help from somewhere else. But when they said it at that moment, it hit me different. Mm-hmm. Like, it really hit my heart. Like, I felt like something, like I remember it was an emotional feeling. Like, it wasn't up here. Mm-hmm. Like, my feeling wasn't like, oh man, it was here. Like, I never felt it here in my heart. Like, it's like something sunk in me. Like I don't know where I'm from. Like, they really took that from me.
Yeah.
Like, just the basics of knowing my grandfather, my great grandfather. Where are we from? Like my last name was not what my last name is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
sure. Talk about that last week. Talk about that last week.
Like, the name I have, that's not the name I would have had.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name they gave me.
Right.
Language.
You know what I mean? All of this, like, this is not this is not my heritage. It's not who I am. Like, at my roots, like, this was not who I was supposed. Like, of course, God is through the course of life, He plans and then works everything out. But if things were the way they were supposed to be, like being from whatever country, whatever place I was from, I would not have the last name that I have today.
It's true.
English wouldn't be your first language.
No, I would none of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all of that was just, when they said that, I'm like, I felt like an orphan. I felt lost. Like I felt like a lost child. Like, where am I from? Like, I don't know my family. Where am I from? Like, I don't have a connection. And I felt like I was robbed of something, because all these other people can just say, oh yeah. And I was just sitting in class, and I remember my heart just like kind of sunk. And I was like, wow, like, I'm really lost. Like, not knowing that.
And that's what we call the Africa void. Like that's the Africa void. What's up, bro? That's that Africa. I'm gonna say what's up to mad people when they walk in because that's just me, and I like
because he knows everybody in New Jersey.
I know. I just like greet my brothers
From
and sisters
Sussex County to Cape May County.
Yeah, right. And yeah, but I think that right there is the substratum in terms of definition, in terms of an anecdote of what the Africa void is, and it's feeling like that. I remember growing up in elementary school, and we'd be in class, and everybody would be like, "Oh, you know, my grandparents are from Italy," and they'll be able to name. They'll be like, "Well, do you know what village or what town?" I'd be like, "No, but I'll come back." And we do our reports. And they'd come back with, you know, my grandparents are from Italy and they're from this town. And my grandparents are from Ireland, they're from this town. My grandparents are from Great Britain and Scotland. And then they get to me and I'm just like, my grandparents are from Alabama and Georgia. You know, it was just like, you know, in Virginia. And they're like, and the class was looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah.
So both of y'all said a lot. So I think that when slavery comes up, right, people definitely minimize it for whatever reason. But I think you hit on like a key point for what makes chattel slavery different than other slavery. Because not only were the largest group of people ever removed from their original land and brought to another land, that's never happened in history, and we were cut off from everything. But I think your point hits home because I think we're the only people, we have a unique experience, period. We're the only people, like you're saying, who can relate to each other about how that affects us. Because other people would just be like, but so what? You live here now. But so what? There's DNA tests now. You can just trace it and find out where you're from. But I tell people, I can find out exactly where I'm from through DNA, but I can't go there and be like, hey,
it's not the same.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah. It's me. Like, it's not the same. And it's funny because I used to be like that too, because growing up, my family, my dad's side's from Virginia, primarily my mom's side's from North Carolina. Well, my mom's side North Carolina, Alabama, but the side I know from North Carolina. So growing up my entire life, both my parents, I used to go down south sometimes twice a year, either to Virginia, North Carolina, or both. And growing up, I used to be proud to be like, everybody be saying they from, I'm like, my family from North Carolina. My family, I used to be super proud. But then I got older, and people would just be like, oh, I'm part Irish, I'm part Scottish, oh, I'm from Korea, oh, my grandmother's half is Chinese, my grandmother's Filipino, my grandfather's Japanese. And that's when it started getting like, okay, it's cool my family from the South, but I'm not bringing, it's a huge void. Like you're saying, like, and I started studying Malcolm X a lot, and that's when he started talking about, I'm not for the term African American. It's complex. I'm not for the term Black American. I use it to easily identify who we are when I'm speaking to large groups of people. But me personally, I don't identify as African American. I don't use the term American. That's not something I prefer to use. Technically, if you want to be technical, yeah, I guess that's who I am. But I call myself
where you live, but then like you get the family treatment.
Yeah. But I technically consider myself like Malcolm X said, I'm an African born in America. And I know because I bring it up often, I talk to people that's ADOS, FBA, so I know that they actually disconnect from the African side and go towards more of the American side. I'm in a mixture because I understand the American part of who I am, but I'll never disconnect from the African side. But to not know, it hurts. And then when I have people minimize it, saying, oh, just go take a test, you can find out. Or who cares? Look where you're at, this and that.
It's because they haven't been through it.
Right, it hurts.
They don't
it's
know
like a double whammy because it's like, dang, not only you saying like, it's no big deal, now you're saying, well, just go take a test to find out. Like,
he's like, it's still not the same.
Right.
Like, cause I went through the same exact thing about a few weeks ago. It was on social media. Ava DuVernay, you know who she is? I think she's
the writer, Queen Sugar and all that.
So she did an ancestry thing. And she found out, they went through history and they was like, oh, well, they went through something that kind of let her know, like, you know, that this tells you that a white man pretty much, you know, raped your ancestor, whatever.
Right.
So when she went through the test, she was like, you know, kind of find out what part is she more of, you know what I mean, like that type of thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And when the test came back, she was like so happy that, you know, she was more black
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And I wrote something in there because somebody was like, well, does it matter? She should just be we're all human and we're blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. We're all human. We're all blah blah blah. And I wrote something like, look, a lot of it, and it's, of course, it's somebody that's not black and they don't understand.
Right.
I said a lot of this. I was being nice about. I said, you know, look, you gotta understand something.
Can you say what you really want to say?
I was telling her, I was like, look, a lot of this you gotta understand comes from something you won't understand, and it comes from a feeling of something's been taken from her, and she doesn't want to connect to that side of her. So she doesn't want to have that connection to that side of her oppressor, the person that oppressed her people. She's like, well, they're not, how they oppress her?
And at least not have it as the dominant.
Yeah,
Right.
And the person responded like, who's oppressing her? Nobody's oppressing her now. She's blah blah blah. She's doing this. And I'm like, you just don't get it. Like it has, like that side is why she is where she is now, where she has to even take a test
Right.
to find this out.
Right.
So
Right.
you don't have to do that. She
Right.
has to even take a test, and still she doesn't know the exact names and all these other of all these people, and she can't go back to these people like, yeah, man, that's your cousin, blah blah blah.
Right.
You can't do that. I'm like, you don't understand. There's a reason why you don't want to. She doesn't want to connect with that. So I went through the same thing. Like, oh, just take a test. She's like, we got DNA. You can do this. I'm like, it's easy to say when that's not you. Right. You haven't had that experience.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you're talking about some of what we talked about last week, because my last name came up. And I know for a fact my fourth grandfather was a white man, was a slave master, and he's asking me about, like, you know, how does that make you feel? And everything you're saying about her, that part is true, but people, and even in the comments, some people trying to justify why it was okay. I feel like part of it, and I wrote this on my blogs, is people have to minimize our experiences because they.
We got my friend Mary here. She's the
Look at that. That's a lot.
part of the family
That's a lot right
that
there.
owns Olaide's kitchen.
Look at that.
I'll be right back with utensils.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, it's hurt. I just have to let people know it's super hurtful. It's super hurtful because it's almost like the equivalent of, like, nowadays they have DNA tests to find out, you know, if that's your father or not, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you're 30, 40, 50 years old and you just found out who your father is, and then somebody comes to you and just says, well, why are you still complaining about all those years you know who your father was? You know who he is now, and he's right there.
Right.
Or maybe he's not there. Maybe he passed away. It's disrespectful and hurtful.
Yeah.
So but for some reason, and I don't know if it's because of our resilience, how we just make it look easy for a lot of things we've been through, but people I find it disrespectful, and people don't seem to understand how disrespectful that could be.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I think, there's several ways that the African void can be talked about. And one of those ways is objectively and subjectively, generally speaking, and then individually speaking. So I think that it affects us all objectively. It affects us all generally. For all of us of the diaspora who's been separated, you know, because of the transatlantic slave trade. But each individual is going to handle that differently. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of it. And so, for me, you know, I know some people like to say, well, I'm whole. I'm not, thank you, Don. Got that Giz Dodo. Right now, I do it. What's the Giz Dodo, man? Can you just explain
Gizzard
what it is?
and plantains mixed in like a tomatoey sauce.
And it's banging. So I got the Nigerian jollof. What you got, Chad?
Ghanaian jollof.
You got the Ghanaian
It's a
jollof.
fish.
What kind of fish?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I forgot what she said. It's fried sauté, but I forgot the type of fish she said it was.
You see the dish? Let me see the fish.
Ghanaian. I said Ghanaian, didn't I? I said Ghanaian. It's Ghanaian.
It's hot, right? Fish. Here. I'll show you my Giz Dodo. Some gizzards, some plantains.
Now, gizzards is from the pig, right?
It's from the chicken right here. Well, you can do it from the pig. You see, my
Got
notebook
meat pie.
You got the meat pie.
Chicken and beef.
He got an African wife, so he can go light. This is special to us. So
Right, exactly.
this is nothing to him.
His wife is Senegalese, so he get the good stuff at home. So you know,
We gotta. Me and Deshaun gotta take advantage when we can. You know.
Pray, precious Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this food we eat with thanksgiving. In your holy name we pray. Amen. So in terms of the pain, so what I'm saying, so some people like to say, well, I'm whole, I don't need to be repaired, I don't need to be healed, there's no this and that. I'm just like, all right, that's good, that's you, that's fine, that's how you want to handle your experience, that's what's up, you know, that's on you. But for me, there is some kind of pain. There is some kind
is
of...
that okay though?
Well, you know what?
I mean, I know it's up to them, but
at the end of the day, I'm like this, man. At the end of the day, you know what, dude? You know, young lady, young man. Because people, I'm telling you, man, people are so settled in their ways. And you wind up arguing with people, and people are not even trying to see the point. They're not even trying to hear. They're so locked down and secure that they can't even have a conversation like
or
that.
are they that assimilated?
That's a good term, too. I think that is assimilated as well.
Well, I think it's a difference though. I don't know if settled in their ways is the same as accepting assimilation.
Okay.
I can't. To me, I don't think it's the same.
Right.
Because sometimes once you become educated, you don't stay settled in your ways.
It's true.
But when you just accept assimilation, accept the false information, narrative that's told to you, then you do settle for it. So I just wanted to throw that out there because
I think that's a good point to bring in. I think that's good. Yeah, and so like for me, like there was that pain, or is that pain of not knowing, of not being able to connect, of only being able to go back so far, searching the census record. Like, I mean, on my branches that have the white ancestors, I'm able to go back to the 1400s. Some of them one branch of my family, check this out, Noble. One branch of my family, I was able to trace it all the way back to the Hittite people.
What?
The Hittite people. And I'm just like,
That's biblical.
That's biblical, bro. That's a biblical proportion.
Wow.
And like, look, dude. And I'm never able, I will never be able to go back that far with my African branches, you know, the family. And so, for instance, you know, I work with African ancestry. I took the African test, several tests for several branches of my family, and at least the 3 branches of my family, 1, 2, 3 branches of my family, I was able to get back to Africa. And so, in a few weeks from now, I'm going to be taking that journey to Africa, to the country, and to the actual area of that country where my peoples are from, where they presently live. It's not the end all to be all, but it is a healing process. It is a beginning. You know, and I always tell people it's not. Don't consider the end of your journey. Consider it just the beginning of your journey, and make something out of it. So, you know, it's part of the healing process for me to be able to reconnect through DNA to my ancestors. And although I know I can't connect to the family, you know, I mean, and I may be brushing shoulders with my cousins and not even know I'm brushing shoulders with my cousins. But then again, I may not, and I don't know. But I think for me, just to be able to go back and to know I'm standing on the terra firma where my people stood. I'm standing on the soil where they stood. I'm hearing their language speak. I'm feeling the rhythms of the life that they lived, the water, the foodways, the whole nine. Like for me, that's not the end of that's not all of closure, but that's the beginning of closure for me. You know? Yeah. So that's just you know, one of the ways of looking at it in terms of, you know, subjectively and objectively. Like it sends me on that. It doesn't mean that I don't have a history. It just means that I don't know it, and so now that becomes my impetus to go search, to go find, to go discover, to reconnect to the continent. I mean, here's what I take from it is that I could sit here and cry, woe is me, or I could do something about it.
I mean, taking action, yeah, but you're taking action. It's like saying. It's hard to say. I mean,
it's not absolution. It's not absolving
It's like
problem.
It's
It's
like
just I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it as positive energy to go forth and change it.
it's like what can you change? I mean, I think it's like
I
this.
think you can change it now. I mean, like for instance, like for me, knowing that we've connected back to, at least on my dad's side, my uncles gave me a mandate. And the mandate that my uncles gave me was nephew, that's bang right.
That's good.
Get us back to Africa. I did the research. I was able to go back. You know, our fifth great grandparents here in America, this, that, and the third. But they gave me the mandate, get us back to Africa. And I went with African ancestry, took the test with them, and I got us back to Africa. My family has found solace, some instances of comfort in knowing where my great grandmother, we call her Mama Judy Cook, knowing where her line came from, knowing where her family came from, and then and to be able to know that. I mean, that's something we did not know.
Well, I think it's positive that you can heal. I think that's the positive that you can heal, but the instance of what happened and the reason why you have to do that, I don't think you can find a positive in what happened. I think you can find a positive in the fact that you can heal from it. Positive that, okay, I can find this, and it helps me heal. It's like saying to a woman, you've been raped. There's a positive there. It's not a positive.
Right, there's
no positive there.
No positive there.
There's a positive.
Even if you found the person that did it,
You still, if there's a positive that you can heal from it.
Right.
But there's not a positive in what happened.
process of it.
So we're talking about
And in Africa, I mean, we're speaking of this thing, we were raped.
Yeah, for sure we were.
So it's like saying,
And stolen.
it's like saying,
Kidnapped.
there's a positive that happened to you. Like that's like people saying, oh, what? Like, because even the white man back then, they would try to convince the black people, you should be happy that we took you from Africa and brought you to this land. And look what you have now. You didn't have this in Africa. Now you have this.
And
you
they
have
still
all
do
these.
it.
So, so that's what I'm saying.
Still do
They're
it.
trying to show you the positive that they did something negative to you.
Right.
There's no positive there.
Right.
The only positive is that we can pull ourselves up and find our way through all the message you took us through.
That's the reclamation part. I agree. A positive thing, energy is reclamation, and that's not absolving the whole African void of its horrid effects and how it and its inception, why we even have it, things of that nature. But I think a good way to interpret it is I can sit down and say, woe is me, I've been stolen, I've been beaten, I've been whipped, and I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to ever try to do anything with myself. Like I think of the people.
But what's wrong with that though?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, bro. All right, think about it. Like,
Interesting.
yo, see, but this is the problem. I think that it's put upon us that we have to continuously try to like
Get over
navigate. Is that it's like if you look at from when we came to this country to now, forget. Even if you came here like Questlove Family did, that last ship,
The Clotilda.
why is it that we can't actually like there's psychological, this is proven that there's trauma, there's psychological emotional damage behind all of that we go through. Even if we didn't directly go through it, listening to our grandparents talk about what they went through, their great-grandparents talk about what they went through, going to where they're from Alabama, like we went through Virginia, listening to the stories, there's trauma behind that.
Yeah.
Why do we always have to keep fighting or get, like, there's a point to anybody's life as a human being where you just like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I can't keep fighting. I can't keep getting through it. I can't keep doing it. Why is it like not okay for you to sit there and actually say, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
I think we're talking about two different things. So what I'm saying is, I was stolen from Africa.
Right?
Nothing stopping me from making that connection to get back to Africa.
You.
Right, nothing stopping me.
But what about-
And I'm not going to sit around and wait for a white man or Europeans to say, I'll give you your birthright back.
But what
I'm
about-
going to go and get my birthright
But what about
back.
somebody that's 50 years older than you? What if they're like, I can't do this?
Some people are exhausted.
Right, I get it. Some people are exhausted. So what do we want? We want the government to do it for them?
But it's like this. It's like let's go take it to the acting world. Like we all have experience with acting world, right?
Right. Oh, by the way, I'm sitting here with actor, SAG-AFTRA, playwright, actor, director. I mean, I got talent all around me. I don't even know what to do.
like he isn't one himself.
Right.
But like, let's take it to that. Like that's like telling an actor. We're not telling you, but that's like looking at different people from a, and it doesn't have to be acting. It could be whatever you decide to do in life. Be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a athlete, whatever. There are certain people that are just more driven than others. There's some people that say, I want to do this with my life, but they don't necessarily have that discipline to do it. And they may have not had anybody in life to like show them what it takes to do that. Same way, it's like, you can look at this and say, yeah, well, why don't you just stop sitting down and do this and do this and do this? For some people, like me, I'm very like competitive. I'm very like, somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna show you I can do it. I'll be out there consistently working at it.
Kobe Bryant, it's Kobe Bryant. Right?
Yeah, some people in this, you tell them like, well, just stop sitting down. The temperament is just different, and they're like, I can't. I don't have the strength. With some people, I got the motivation. I got the strength. Like, come on. It's like you're telling a type A person, you want somebody else that's not a type A to be a type A.
So what do we do then about the African vote? That's a good. I think it's a fair question. What do we do then about the African vote?
See, I think we had a minor disagreement about this last week, though. I just feel like it's not. Oh, man, it's so complex. I don't feel like it's on us, man. I feel like this, like
I keep thinking it's gonna fall off the table.
My bad. I don't know. I'll put it like this. I think it's a complex issue that there's no one right answer for it. I just do. I feel like if we are like you, similar to me, like I don't have the same energy as you. Like as much as I want to know where my family's exactly from in Africa, I don't have the same energy and motivation as you and patience.
It's a passion.
And to find out. Mm-hmm. But I'd be there if somebody came up to me and said, well, you're just being lazy. You don't really want to know. Nah, you don't know Deshaun's story versus my story.
Right,
So our hunger for going about how to doing it is different.
Yeah,
but doesn't take away from me wanting to know the same exact thing you want to know.
Absolutely.
So I think it's like any type
of the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's like any type of trauma. And I think when I went at the beginning and said that when people talk about slavery, people focus on actual like the slaves, like what they went through as actual slaves, like having to work for free. But I think what's often missed in slavery is the whole entire picture, which is from losing your family in a moment, mothers losing their children, men, and this still continues to this day when they say, "Oh, black men don't do this, black men can't protect women." From slavery, we never had really the opportunity to protect our women.
Right.
We faced death.
Yeah,
we
sure.
faced losing our family when it came to protecting women. So there's so much trauma that comes along with being in this country, even if we weren't directly affected by slavery, that people handle differently. And I think that because of that, and that's why I say I feel it's disrespectful when people who are outside, who haven't experienced what we experienced, just so easily can just come and say things to us. Because the issue is people don't do this when it comes to other races who experience trauma. When the Japanese had to go on concentration camps in America, I never heard somebody say to a Japanese person, well, I mean, you could have just went back to Japan. I mean, you know, when Native Americans was getting wiped out, losing their land, nobody said, oh, you were stupid for selling your land for selling that for a penny. But people feel comfortable. For whatever reason, people feel comfortable coming to us and saying how we should always handle something, what we should always do.
Somebody outside always telling us what we should do.
Right, and it's just like, I think it comes to a point where it's like, you know what? You would not do this to a rape victim. You wouldn't do this to another race who experienced something traumatic, a large death, whatever. So why is it okay at the end of the day? I think that's to be the important question, not necessarily how to handle it, because psychology proved why we handle things differently.
Right.
But the question should be, why is it okay for people to tell us how to handle it and what we should do.
I like that question. I like that.
I think
that's a great question.
I think
Yeah, that's what and I agree with you on that because I think to answer the first part, where how do we handle the Africa void? I think there is a collective effort, and also think there's going to be individual journeys that people will take to deal with that. I'm within a family, but everybody in my family is not doing the same journey that I'm taking. But I wouldn't sit here and say that nobody else in my family, because they're not doing exactly what I'm doing, are not trying to fill the Africa void. You know, so yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
But what if you feel the void, but you just don't have the strength to? Like you feel the void, but you don't have the strength to fill it.
I think that's where
I think that's where a lot of people are.
I think that's where the community effort can help the people. Because I think one of the things in being a community is that you benefit from the community. Within the community, if you don't have the strength, one of the beauties of a community is that there are people in the community, there are elders, there are sickly, there are sick folks, there are babies, and the benefit of the community is that everybody gets to eat, if you will. Everybody gets to be helped out in some way. And so for those that are just tired, beaten down, trodden, and it's just too much, because at times it could be way too much, it could be way over the top for any given individual. That's why I think a community effort, like for instance for me, when I watched the documentary The Descendants the other day. In fact, I watched it 3 times already. Since it came out, I watched it 3 times. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was cathartic for me. You know, it was crazy.
Bittersweet, man.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. Oh, the show was bittersweet.
Like our history.
Yeah, it was definitely bittersweet. But in some way, in them finding some semblance of healing, it helped heal me. You know, it helped different places of me be healed and energized. So that's what I think about people who can't do it for them.
But that was just the people they interviewed. So there could be a bunch of other people who's like that live from Africa Town or lived in Africa Town or related to that, just like I don't care. Right. They're finding the shit or whatever it was that do anything for me.
Well, I like how it started out. If you notice, there was a few people who were just like in the beginning of the documentary, was like, I don't care. Once that shit came up, bro, their whole emotions changed. And I think sometimes we default to that because
I haven't seen that. Where's that at though? This is news to me.
Netflix.
The Descendants?
Yeah.
Questlove's family was on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
Okay,
and so I think sometimes we easily default to that feeling of I don't care because it seems unachievable. It's easy. It helps with the pain.
I agree.
You know, and then so you saw that metamorphosis take place for those people once they found that Clotilda shit. They were like gung ho, getting everybody involved, calling up family members and come be a part of this. And it was beautiful to see that healing take place. You know?
Let me ask this question to add another layer to what you're saying, right? So, for example, for you, right, you're going to where your family, your ancestors are originally from. What if you go there? Because I believe this is another layer that makes it.
I think I know where you're going with this.
That makes it complex for why people maybe not necessarily be so eager to find out, right? So let's say you go there, right? And then you get there and you feel out of place, and actually you come back to America feeling worse than when you went there.
I feel like you're not accepted there. So
what do you mean
I'll
by?
let you speak first, because I can speak to that.
What do you mean full out of place? Like you mean
because
like
you're excited, right? Because I'm just not disagreeing with anything you're doing, of course you know that. But I'm just speaking for, I think, I've heard several different reasons why people are not interested in finding out or why they don't want to necessarily find out. You go to Africa, you go to where your ancestors are from, and the experience is nothing like you anticipated. And matter of fact, it's the opposite. You feel like, I don't feel like I'm really from here. The people aren't really accepting of me. I just feel totally out of place. And you come back home, and you're like, man, I was so looking forward to that trip. I thought it was gonna be so different because I thought I was gonna get this closure in my life. But I actually came back home with not that complete opposite. I feel like there's a million more questions I have now because I don't even feel like I'm part of that. My ancestors can't be from there because if they were, I feel like it would have been more of a, when you go places, you feel this connection. It's just automatic.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking that question because people do think that.
Yeah, that's a good question to ask. And so I want to answer that by saying this, and I encourage people to put your thoughts in the comments if you've had different experiences. But I've yet to talk to anybody, group-wise or individual-wise, who went back to Africa to go through a renaming process, to meet the people that their DNA connected into, and they had a negative experience. I've yet to talk to anybody. And so I'm not saying that doesn't happen, I just haven't heard that narrative yet. And so if anybody has experienced that, please put it in the comments, because I would like to hear about that. And so that's not something that I think is going to happen, but let's just say that there is going to be some connectivity there, and I think it's going to be on the level of culture. I mean, I just think the fact that because I'm a coach, like I'm not going in there with eyes wide shut. I'm kind of like been prepping myself of all the different types of scenarios that can take place, and to be able to be open-minded and open-hearted, and to know that a lot of people over there don't even know African American history. All they know is that we got on the ship. Some people, all they know is that we got on the ship a long time ago, left, and never came back, and doing great over here. They don't know the horror and the trauma. Vice versa, a lot of African Americans think that, oh, well, my African family, they sent me, they sold me out. And they have no idea of while we were over here being enslaved, the continent of Africa was going through colonization. And the horrors that was happening on the continent under colonization is crazy. So I think there just has to be a process that's going to take place. So I'm not expecting to go over there and just be like, oh, flowery bed of ease, some pie in the sky somewhere. I know that there's going to be processes.
So I think, like you said, like you're saying is good because you're talking about the void, right? And just the definition of a void means an emptiness, right? So just imagine a native people from Africa here, us over here, African Americans. There's a void. The void isn't just us connecting to them; it's them connecting to us
Absolutely.
too. So when you talk about going over there, there's a disconnect. There's a separation between us and them, because even from us, as much as some of us want to go over there and want to connect, some of them don't care about us. To the point, and I can say this, just being around a lot of Africans and families, stuff like that, because a lot of them look at us like Americans,
right?
And you hear them, I've been around them.
Oh yeah,
we have a bad reputation.
Sure.
And some of that is deserving because some of us from years ago have looked at them as like African booty scratchers.
Right, exactly.
That was determining. So we always looked at them as something.
Absolutely.
And then they looked at us as something.
Yeah.
And then that continued to just make that void bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So that now when we want to reconnect, some of them are welcome. Some of them are like open arms, like, oh yeah, and some of them are looking at us like, y'all think y'all are like,
right.
And some of us, we go over there with similar things.
Yeah.
So there's a void there that I think it takes both parties to mend.
Yeah.
And how does that happen? I don't know.
But let me add to that, because not only was I speaking of that, I'll give my example of when I went to Uganda.
Go ahead, eat your food. I might order one to take out.
When I went to Uganda, I had a great time. I mean, it was an amazing experience. I felt absolutely no connection, right? And it was weird because they kept staring at my mom. My mom is not light-skinned, right? But to them, my mom was light-skinned, like different, right? My sister had to explain it to us. When I went to South Africa, I felt more of a connection. I seen people that looked like people that was from here. It was just things I saw that I was like, yo,
different.
like the people there just reminded me of people I knew in America.
Right.
And the things I saw there, the actions from the people I saw there, I was like, man, this reminds me of black people in America. So I guess I'm saying all this to say is that some things are in our control that we can try to relate to, some things are out of our control we can relate to. So when some people say that And once again, I'm not, I got mad love for what you're doing, this and that, and I'm guaranteed you're gonna have a great time. I spoke about this several times. But I'm speaking for the people, not maybe justifying their mentality, but understanding their mentality is the fear of doing all of this to find out, yo, I did all this, I got all excited, and they don't even like me. Or I didn't really feel connected. Or I don't know if that's really my family's from because I don't feel that same feeling when I go to Alabama, when I go to Georgia, when I go to, so it's, once again, I think the complexity has to be handled so delicate when it comes to this. And I think that the comments, and I'm not saying this towards you two, but to other people, the comments should be the same comments we make to other people who aren't descendants of Africa, who aren't descendants of African slavery, descendants of American chattel slavery. Chattel slavery. I think for whatever reason, it's not. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, we have to just respect people's decision. And if it is due to assimilation, my biggest thing is education.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not just dropping them or, is education. Because just a lot of people just don't know. Like at one point, we didn't know a lot of things that we know now. And I'm glad people just wasn't like, I'll push John to the side. He don't know. He never figured out. They educated me. I learned. But I think at the end of the day, part of filling the African void has nothing to do with necessarily filling the African void, but people letting us sit in it sometimes. Just let me sit in this like you was doing that time in the class. Yeah. You needed that moment to like digest everything that was going on. You didn't need nobody to come to you and say, man, come on, bro. If your family from Alabama, just say that. Get over it. Like,
because sometimes it's not identified.
You just gotta sit in it. Like, just let us handle it because you're not in the situation. So don't tell us how to handle a situation that you're not in and you never experienced.
Right.
That's so, that's something to say about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, man. I think being able to sit in that moment and to identify, because, growing up in church, folks be like, how you feeling today? Oh, I'm not feeling good. And other Christians are quick to say to them, don't claim it, don't claim it. You see if you're healing. Well, healing from what? If I ain't claiming nothing, ain't nothing to be healed from. Let me tell you I'm sick and I'm feeling some kind of way, and then let me claim my healing. So I do think you got to sit in that and receive it and identify it. And I think for me, of course, like I said, this is individually speaking, is that I think for me the greater crime for Deshaun Jerome Gandy, the Ancestry Chronicle, the greatest crime would be for me to say, I'm not going to go on this journey because I may get to Africa, I may get to Sierra Leone, I may meet the Limba people and feel no connection at all. I won't ever know that until I try to make the connection.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I just feel like, and that's just for me, I feel like that would be the greater harm for Deshaun in his journey, in his quest, is that, yes, that may happen, but it may not happen.
You don't know until you get there.
I won't know until I get there.
Yeah, definitely. More than likely it won't though.
Yeah.
But I'll just speaking for the people that have that fear. Right. Like you go through all of this stuff and the last thing you want to do is find out what you were hoping for, what you were looking for actually isn't there and it will never be there. That's
why I did that video a few videos ago. I did a video, Second Thoughts, about going to Africa. Because I was just thinking about it, like, am I setting the bar too high? And we still gonna release that video. I'm editing it now. The video where you respond to that question of am I setting the bar too high? I had those moments of thinking about that. Am I setting the bar too high? Am I going to get to the continent of Africa and get to Sierra Leone and realize that I'm let down? And I think the way you answered that, which we're not going to get into it now because that's the whole video, so we're going to get into that now. But that was just a beautiful thing. So yeah, so I myself did entertain that. And then I think I walked away from that thinking like the greater crime would be to let anything deter you. Yeah, like to not even try. I think it was good, Noble. I mean, just the fact that, that you had that experience. And it's funny because when you told me your story, that was in the span of a week when my uncle shared the same story that he had. And then like a week later, African Ancestry started talking about the Africa void. That's why I became familiar with the term, the Africa void. And just hearing all of that, just knowing that there's a term, a phrase put to that, like a marker put to that experience that we all experience.
Yeah, and I just, if I may, just really add quickly the story I was sharing about, do we even have an ethnicity? Because, and what's saying this is for people to be mindful, because I'm talking on a state government level, where at my old job you had to fill out certain boxes for children, and when it came to Black Americans, there was no box we could fit in for ethnicity, but we were told we have to fill out a box. At the end of the day, it's crazy to think that you think you're doing something positive for people, because you're trying to say, let's make sure that these group of people aren't left out, or we need to track stuff to make sure certain things is not overlooked or whatever, or certain things are addressed. But you're actually being more insensitive, because you're not being mindful of saying, you got to check a box. But you're not being mindful of how it feels to me as an adult, saying or thinking about that child has no box that they can identify in their own country. A country that we've been in for hundreds of years, there's no box in this section for me to check off for that child.
Right.
So I think once again that comes with people not being sensitive to us. And it's like, whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that only we deal with. I just don't feel like a lot of things other people have to deal with. And once again, I don't know, because we make it look easy. We have been resilient since we've been here. We have overcome a lot.
lot.
And people, I guess, maybe think after a while, we can just keep throwing things and they'll be all right. They'll be all right. But at the end of the day, we're not all right. We're not. Like, we have our moments where I sat there at the computer and I'm like, how do I not have a box to fill out for people that's been in this country longer than everybody else that's in this box?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy.
And I know some people who've tested who were able to trace via DNA back to an ethnicity, a tribe, an ethnic group in Africa, that they wrote in their African ethnicity, and their application was getting rejected, or whatever, the form was getting rejected, and so they pressed it to the fact that they took it to court, and I'm just like, whoa. I'm not saying, whether I agree with it or not or whatever, but I just thought that was interesting, is that you're asking for an ethnicity. Now that I can give you one, it's not acceptable.
Yeah. It's complicated, man. It's complex, man.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think everybody has to respect how we process that at the end of the day. I don't think there's one way to do it, and I think that we shouldn't have to be put in a position that we should be put in a position that other people who went through similar traumas, maybe not the exact ones, but had some type of like they was wiped out, concentration camps, whatever the case may be, they got that respect. And to this day, they get that respect. And I think at the end of the day, people have to understand, give us that respect, give us that same respect.
Right.
Give us that same respect, you know what I'm saying? So I'll close out by saying that.
That's what's up, man. That's good stuff. No, we got anything you want to say?
No, man, it was good.
All right, well, I want to thank my man, Michael Maurice, Noble. Probably seen him in, the Wu-Tang on, what's that, Hulu. My man, J-Trav, Jonathan Travis.
You see me in the movie, you ain't see. If you ain't see the movie, I was in it.
These my boys. This is what we do, man. Sometimes we just get together. If we ain't chopping up theater or acting, some script or sports, we're chopping up this, talking about
you're not a Cowboys fan no more. You said you gave him up, so you can't chop up football no more.
I gave up the Cowboys. Listen, I officially say on YouTube, I gave up the Cowboys last year. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And
I saw the Lakers on fire.
Yeah, and the Lakers is on the verge of being given up too. I'm not lying. I tell you what, I've had the most enjoyable football season this year, not having a dog in the fight. Just being able to watch the NFL and just enjoy every game and not worried about who's going to win, who's going to lose, are they going to catch my team, are they going to catch my team. I'm just, because I'm like Stephen A. Smith. Dallas is doing good, but somewhere along the line this year, they're going to mess it all up, because that's what the Cowboys do, and I'm tired of it. Listen, we're here at Olaide's Kitchen, Nigerian a restaurant here in Parlin, New Jersey. Make sure you get a chance to come through here, taste some of this delicious, good ethnic food from the country of Nigeria. They even got some Ghanaian dishes here, some wache and some Ghanaian jollof. So come on in here and enjoy it, the good company, the good atmosphere. And I'm the Ancestry Chronicler. You know what to do. Please subscribe, like, and share. I holla. Peace, peace, peace.